That's funny.
This Diva Drive is dedicated to all the aspiring promoters, all the people that show up to a poetry spot and say to themselves, self, I think that I should start a poetry spot.
This is your conscience speaking.
Or to the poets that have beef with the promoter of the hotter poetry spots and say, self, fuck that nigga. I can open my own poetry spot because I'm a poet and I'm about the art and they're about the money and I'm sensitive about my shit. And here are our words of advice for the promoters. Number one, like any job, you must do your research. So not only must you know at least 20 poets in your area that can rotate through your spot. You must know 20 talented poets. You got to make a U-turn and see how this cop is sitting right there. Let's just go straight. We just going to go straight for right now because we don't want to give our advice whilst getting a ticket. So we're going to put our right turn signal on. We're just going to go to the next light. Fuck it. And we're going to make a right. And then we're going to make our U-turn on the side street and then come back. This is what we have to do to get cheap gas. This is a problem. We could go all the way to 441. I mean, we're kind of bonding right now. Let's just ride. Let's ride. Let's ride out. Sorry, promoters. I know you were sitting here with bated breath, awaiting your advice. So you must know at least 20 poets.
Talented poets.
And 10 of them got to be the hotness, and 10 of them got to be good. And at least 5 of them have to be committed to your cause, okay? After you've come up with these poets and you find your venue and, you know, you're good, you have to make sure that you are capable of hosting or know somebody that is capable of hosting. Because if the host is whack, the show is whack. Mind you, if the host is whack, the show is whack. Now, mind you, all hosts have to learn, so you got to get on stage and hone your craft. And just because you're the hottest poet does not mean that you're going to be the hottest host. It takes a lot of personality. And usually, poet and artist people are not the most personable motherfuckers on this earth, especially if they're Virgos. Moving on. Actually, no. Every Virgo host that we know is the shit. So I take that back. I digress. Moving on.
Because we use the stage to let our shit out.
Right. You express all your frustration with the people from junior high that threw you in the locker onto the audience. Just like I let all my frustrations out about how I can't control my weight out on my audience. And that I haven't had. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. I digress. See, I'm doing it right now. Number 2. Or 5. I don't know what number it is. Just pay a fucking attention. Go ahead. We're going to talk about respecting other venues.
Do not
Show up at a venue.
Show up at a venue.
To promote your venue by passing out flyers.
By passing out flyers at another venue.
Do not stand outside waiting for the audience to leave so you can hand people flyers. Do not put your flyers on cars in another poetry venue's parking lot. That's just not the business.
What you can do is say to the promoter / owner of the venue,
not during the show.
Not during the show, especially if you were grown on that venue, especially if that promoter / host helped you get to where you are to the point where you could even think about hosting or doing a venue. You should call that person and say, hey, person, I've been asked to host an event, or I'm really thinking that there's a market that we're not reaching in my neighborhood that's way down south or way up north or way out west that really deserves a poetry spot, and I would like to start it. And that said person that you're addressing would then say, you know what, you're absolutely right. Here are some tips on how you should do that.
Advice.
But if, fuck ass, you decide to start your poetry spot on the same day or around the corner from, or use the host from somebody else's spot, you're going to have a problem. And this, my friends, is where we get beef.
It's the rub.
And usually the beef is because of your bitch-assness. Rampant bitch-assness. And I'm not saying bapping because that's a level that you can't even achieve, because you would have to be a man to be a bapping. Let us move on. Do not troll poetry spots waiting on the open mic poets to come out so that you can secretly tell them about how they need to be at your spot instead of the spot that they're at. Refer to reference before on talking to the host and asking them, hey, who do you think lives in that area or would be interested in coming out to the area to perform? Do we have any other advice? Other than you have to really, really, really be passionate about wanting to promote these things, because they're not really money-making ventures. It takes a couple of years to get to that point.
What's the key? Finding your own audience.
Finding your own audience.
Pass out supplies, not at a venue, somewhere else.
In the words of, what was her name? You don't see Burger King in front of McDonald's passing out.
In the words of Tosca, you do not see Burger King employees passing out burgers in front of the McDonald's.